My name is Karina Mirsky. For those of you who might not know me, I've been teaching yoga and meditation for almost 25 years, and I'm also a psychotherapist. And so my own interest in this topic comes from chronic pain that I have experienced in my body since childhood from some injuries, and then just from an Ayurvedic perspective, my constitution, which is primarily Vata dominant, means that I just experience pain in my body intensely. I experience pain, pleasure, all these things. My nervous system is extremely sensitive. So pain is something that I've had to manage for a long time. So I had a personal interest in this topic, but also as a teacher and a healer and a therapist, I also want to be able to help other people manage their pain as best as they can. So this, what started me down this path is I've been interested in neuroscience for about the past 6 or 7 years, and slowly kind of consuming little bite-sized bits of information that I could digest. And I came across this app on my phone, and it's called Curable. And that is what this transcription is from this document that we're going to be looking at together today. So over the last month or two, I've been reading their lessons. I've been listening to those, the talks and the interviews that they've done with scientists. And then I've been experimenting with some of the techniques that the app is offering, just to kind of get some insights on how they're connecting things like meditation practice with this science. And then what I did was, through my own kind of experimentation over the last few months, have created a practice that I'm going to share with you today that's based on the science, but also grounded and rooted in what I know as a yoga practitioner and a psychotherapist, especially from the internal family systems lens of psychotherapy that I practice. You could take a moment and just kind of close your eyes if you are someone who has pain in their body today, or experiences chronic pain regularly, and just kind of check in with that pain and just see on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I hardly notice it at all, to 10 being it is completely all I can notice. I'm totally consumed by this pain. It is intense. It is overwhelming me. What's my pain level right now? So what this is, again, is a transcription from Curable. So if this is, I'm going to be reading their words verbatim, and then I've made a few edits and omitted some things just to kind of keep us focused at the beginning. So what is pain and why do we feel it? It's a simple question, but the answer has changed dramatically over the last 10 years. Thanks to brain imaging technology, scientists now have a lot more information about how pain is processed and why it becomes chronic. Unfortunately, it takes a long time for advancements like this to trickle through the healthcare system and the education system. So unless you've been reading the latest medical journals in your spare time, like some of us, it's likely that you haven't had the opportunity to learn these newer insights into pain yet. So here's 2 things that you need to know. The first one is that a lot of what we used to believe about pain is no longer accepted as true. This could help explain why some of the pain management strategies that some of us have used or tried in the past haven't worked, because it's possible that those strategies were based off of outdated information. Number 2 is that some of the information that scientists are learning about pain is actionable. And what that means is that there's research that includes specific like at-home strategies, things that you can do yourself and apply directly to your situation today. So here are the 4 major advancements in our understanding in pain. Number 1 is that pain is not purely a physical experience, as it was once believed to be. Today, scientists view pain through what's called a biopsychosocial lens. And it means that pain is not just a product of our injury or a virus in the body. It's an experience that is reflective of what's going on in your body and your mind and your environment and your social context. So all of those factors influence our experience of pain. Number 2 in these major advancements in our understanding of pain science is that pain is not necessarily processed in the location of the body where you feel it. It's processed in the brain and in the nervous system. So this is also where all of our kind of psychosocial information is processed. And this is true for every kind of pain: migraines, injuries, a broken arm, IBS, it doesn't matter. Even when there is tissue damage, like if there's an actual injury, the pain response doesn't actually come from the tissue itself, it comes from the nervous system. And the nervous system can and does input from pain receptors in the tissues of the bodies, which are called nociceptors. But this nociceptive information is only one of the factors that the brain takes into account when deciding how much pain to produce, where to produce that pain, and for how long to keep that pain activated. So that's why two people can suffer an identical injury but have a completely different experience of pain, because of biological and situational issues. All of that compounds into how we might experience pain. So if we turn to the next page, we'll look at number 3. The way that your nervous system produces and responds to pain is unique to you, and it can change over time. That's the good news. Your brain and nervous system learn how to respond to various stresses through your personal experiences, through your thoughts, through your feelings, through your fears, through your relationships. Pain is one mechanism that the brain uses to keep you safe. This is really important. We're going to talk a lot about that. And it's the factors, and it uses all of these factors to learn how to do a better job over time. So the brain and the nervous system, there's this constant feedback loop of how much pain should be there, how long that pain should be there. And it's not just about what's being experienced at the site of the pain. It's also about what's going on in our lives. Is the pain trying to protect us from overusing this area? Is it trying to protect us from, engaging in things in our lives that are causing more stress to us? There's something that it's trying to limit us from or hold us back. So there's a lot of information that's being processed that's not just about the tissue damage or the nerves themselves. It's really a whole integrated, holistic thing. So again, pain is one mechanism that the brain uses to keep you safe, and it uses all those factors to learn how to do a better job over time. So this is where that psychosocial stuff comes into play. And it's a huge role in configuring your brain and nervous system in its default settings in how it uses pain to help you. In people with chronic pain, the nervous system has often programmed itself to be hypersensitive. I spoke to that a little bit about my own system. This overprotective setting, which means that it produces increasingly painful responses to fairly normal stresses and stimuli over time. The evidence to support this comes directly from brain imaging studies, which have shown evidence of alterations in the brain structure as well as function among patients with chronic pain. So this kind of leads us to our 4th new development in pain science. The brain and the nervous system can always be reprogrammed. They remain plastic throughout our lives. So even though changes have already taken place in the brain as pain becomes chronic, many of these changes can be reversed, sometimes completely. So if you identify and resolve some of the factors that have set your nervous system into a hypersensitive setting, you might be able to decrease how frequently or intensely your nervous system triggers a pain response. One of the most effective methods that's been found to reverse these brain changes is really simple. We focus on learning cognitive, behavioral, and psychological techniques. You could use these sorts of techniques to calm down your brain's fear response during like a pain flare-up, or in more technical terms, reduce catastrophizing, which is our relationship to pain. It's the suffering that's induced in the mind when we are thinking about the pain, and we're going to explore that in the practice a little bit. So to quote the conclusion of one study led by Robert Edwards from Harvard, psychosocial and behavioral interventions that target cognitive processes have been shown to reverse these functional and structural brain changes over the course of just months. Collectively, these findings substantiate the possibility that interventions that reduce catastrophizing and negative affect, that's a term you might want to highlight there, and we can talk a little bit more about what is positive affect and what is negative affect. But if we can reduce those negative affects, if we can reduce the way that we're thinking about pain, the way we're reacting to it, and also other circumstances in our lives, other stress triggers in our lives, the way that we're in relationship to those, that we can actually really change the brain's processing of pain. And this means that there is hope for chronic pain patients today more than ever before. There are safe and effective techniques that can address pain from a different angle, help you reprogram your nervous system, and start turning down the volume on your symptoms, no matter how long, no matter how they started or how long they've lasted. So we turn the page again. The only way to know how much of a difference this information can make in your life is if you start applying these techniques and see what happens. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to actually apply some of this understanding. But before we do that, I wanted to just take you through what Curable calls their 6 basic truths about pain. And I really like this first one. Number 1, knowledge gives you power. Knowledge is so powerful. In fact, that education about pain is a medically recognized form of treatment. Healthcare professionals call it therapeutic neuroscience education, or TNE, which is a fancy way of saying that someone who is learning about the biological processes of pain. Scientific studies show that this sort of education is linked with decreases in physical symptoms, improved function, reduced fear, improved mobility, and a calmer nervous system. So as you're listening to these facts about pain, you can feel good knowing that you're already doing something scientifically proven to help you. Here is number 2 truth about pain. Pain is designed to protect. From an evolutionary perspective, pain helps us survive. As humans, we can use pain to learn about our environment and to get better at avoiding anything that could potentially harm us. And again, that could be something physical, but that could be something relational or environmental. So it acts as sort of a danger signal, telling us that if we're getting too close to that hot burner, or it's teaching us not to pick up that piece of broken glass. Pain also motivates us to take it easy when our tissues are damaged. So this is a really important thing. If we think about pain in context of some kind of an internal protective mechanism, we can start to get curious about what it is that the pain is trying to protect us from. And we'll do that in the practice. Number 3. Pain is not just a physical experience. So old models of pain, which most of us were taught growing up, show that pain is only caused by physical damage to the body. In recent decades, those models have been proven wrong. We now know that physical damage to the body is one of many factors that make up how much pain we experience in any given moment. But it's actually one of the least influential factors. This was so interesting to me. Consider this example. Imagine you're sitting on the couch with a sprained ankle. Picture yourself trying to get up off the couch onto the injured ankle and feeling a throbbing pain the moment your foot hits the ground. Now, imagine that you're sitting on the same couch with the same sprained ankle, only this time a lion is in the room with you. Now, when you try to stand up, you feel no pain at all. You begin to run as fast as you can on the injured ankle, relatively pain-free until you reach safety. Then and only then does your ankle begin to hurt. So while pain can be felt in any area of the body, the decision to create it lies in the brain. And understanding that fact is absolutely critical to reducing your pain symptoms, because once we understand how the brain makes its decision, we can start to influence the outcome. So number 4, this kind of leads us right to it. All pain originates in the brain. This is true for every single type of pain that you've ever experienced, regardless of how it started, how severe it is, or how long it's lasted. Pain does not exist until the brain says it does. Think of a broken arm. Your arm is the part that's injured, and your arm is the part that feels the pain. So you may think it logical that the arm created the pain, but that's not true. The nociceptors in your arm alerted your brain that there is a potential threat. Then the command central in your brain decided how much pain should be produced in order to protect you from that threat. And then in a matter of nanoseconds, your arm began to hurt. So this is a really interesting one. Number 5, pain is your brain's opinion. It's not fact. Pain is an opinion. Your brain formulates this opinion of how much pain you should feel at the exact moment in order to survive, to be protected. Your brain reaches this opinion by answering a whole series of questions. It doesn't just assess whether or not there's tissue damage and create pain based on that information alone. It looks at whether you're able to focus on this pain or not, how afraid you are of the pain in general, how well equipped your body is to heal itself, what it might cost you in your life to deal with this pain, and so much more. And we can even think about what some of those so much more might be. How much sleep have you gotten? How well have you tended and regulated your nervous system? What other stressors are there in your lives? So there's so many things that are influencing the amount of pain that the brain's opinion is about how it needs to protect you. So Dr. Tor Wagner of the Cognitive and Affective Neuroscience Lab at CU Boulder says this: there's a number of rodent models of chronic pain where they do a partial nerve injury and create a chronic pain response in an animal. Even after the injury is healed, the animal will still exhibit pain behavior. In some cases, this is because that part of the brainstem is turning pain on all the time. It's facilitating pain. If you look at the system in humans and what that connects to, it's integrated with the higher brain centers in your prefrontal cortex and your so-called reward system that have a lot to do with how you're thinking about a situation, where your attention is, like what Amy just said, but also what does the signal coming from your body mean to you? What are we making this pain mean? And what else is happening in the environment that you need to respond to? So your body might just be, this pain might be trying to protect you in so many different ways. And that's what we're going to get curious about in the practice. Now, here's the good news. Number 6, to get rid of pain, you have to treat the brain. Even when physical factors are present, they're not the whole story. And in most cases of chronic pain, even the cases that started out with an injury or a surgery or some kind of tissue damage, the contribution of the physical component to the overall experience of pain is quite small. Leading neuroscientists, physicians, physical therapists, and other healthcare practitioners are starting to approach pain this way. They're looking at it through this biopsychosocial lens. One that takes all contextual factors into account, not just the physical changes in the body. So Curable asked Dr. Tim Flynn, a board-certified physical therapist and widely published author, to explain how our understanding of pain has evolved. The biopsychosocial model is a relatively recent event. Most of medicine during the 20th century was based on the Descartes model of very linear approach to disease. In other words, we use medical imaging, and if we see something is amiss, we assume that that's the problem, and we cut it out, or we burn it out, or we inject it, or whatever. And that's a really old model of pain. And it's the model of disease that many physicians carry to this day, especially when we look at musculoskeletal pain. A biopsychosocial model is one that incorporates the biology of the human, the psychology of that individual, the social framework and constructs where that individual is at. We can have very nearly the same biology and suffer similar injury, but depending on our psychological and social framework at the time, we can have a very different outcome. The biopsychosocial model encompasses what is truly means to be human. So when we come with some complaint of pain, we really need to take all of those factors into consideration, not just the biology at that moment. Now, this may all seem pretty straightforward, but it's a lot of information to take in. So let's take a nice deep breath and we'll review the 6 basic truths about pain. Number 1, knowledge gives us power. Number 2, pain is designed to protect. 3, pain is not just a physical experience. 4, all pain originates in the brain. 5, pain is an opinion, not a fact. And 6, to get rid of the pain, we have to treat the brain. Now I'm going to ask you to just take a moment and check in again with that pain that might have been there today. And just see if after learning this information, if there's any change in that number, that pain level. Maybe there's a glimmer of hope that has turned it down even a notch. Has there been any change in just learning? What's that number now? And if there has been change, then great. And if not, no worries, because next we're going to get into a practice that will hopefully give you some relief. So what we're going to do now is just take a moment to make ourselves really comfortable. Now, you can sit in meditation with your spine tall and your head balanced over your spine. But I'm going to suggest that you do something that's a little bit more restorative than that. So if you're sitting in a chair, and you can actually support your head, you support your arms, do something to really bring a sense of support to your body. Now, you could totally lie down. You want to lie on your couch, lie on your bed. If you're going to lie on your floor, all I suggest is that you bring a little support under your head or neck. Just really try to bring some softness and support to the body so that you can fully relax and receive this practice. So go ahead and take a moment now to make yourself as comfortable as you can be. We're going to be down for about 20 minutes. So it's just important that you take the time to be as comfortable as possible. Yeah, so please make any final adjustments that you might need to be maybe 10 to 15% more comfortable than you are right now. Whether you're relaxing in your favorite recliner chair or lying on your couch or in your bed, just be as comfortable as you can possibly be. Great. So once you are comfortable, I'm going to invite you to relax a little bit into what I'm going to call a comfortable stillness. So again, you might need to adjust something to bring a little bit more support, maybe under the area that has the pain, but do whatever you need to do so that you can be still, and not still because you're efforting to hold your body up or still because you're tense in any way, but still because you're so completely comfortable that there's just no need to move. It's so important that we take the time to do that. Okay. So please close your eyes. And we're just going to start to scan the body just for sensations. So just become aware of your whole body for a moment and the space occupied by your body. Notice any sensations that are in the region of the head, face. We're not going to judge those sensations or attempt to analyze them in any way. We're just going to be aware of them. Just noticing what's there in the region of the head, face. You could invite a softening or a relaxing of the tissues, the ligaments, muscles. And we'll travel down into the region of the neck and the throat. And again, not trying to judge the sensations in any way, just noticing if there is sensation in this region of the body. Maybe inviting a softening. And as we're continuing to scan through the body, you may come across one of your areas of pain. So I'm going to ask you to not let your mind linger there. Don't get involved with the pain right now. Just, again, recognize it as sensation, invite a softening, and we'll move on to the next area of the body, which is going to be the region of the upper back, shoulders. Again, just noticing sensation without judgment or getting too involved. Inviting a softening or a relaxing of the tissues and muscles, ligaments there. Move down into the arms and the hands, same thing, just noticing sensation. Relaxing any effort. Sensations in the chest. Abdomen. Maybe relaxing the effort of the flow of breath as you inhale and exhale, and you can feel that movement of the belly become a little softer. Sensations in the back. Sensations in the pelvis. Again, just softening, not getting too involved in discomforts. Just noticing what's there. Move down to the region of the hips. Noticing sensation in the thighs. Again, inviting the softening of the muscles and tissues, ligaments, tendons. Move the awareness down to the knees. And just noticing sensation in the lower legs, ankles, feet. Again, relaxing any effort that you might feel there as you just notice sensation. Move the awareness back to the region of the abdomen. And again, we're going to attempt to dissolve another layer of tension in the belly, but especially the effort of the inhalation, the effort of the exhalation. Relax that effort, even 10%. Like layers and layers of tension in the abdomen, like peeling an onion. Each round of breath can be an opportunity to soften that belly. Relax the effort of the breath. No need to pull it in, no need to push it out. Belly expands on inhale, contracts on exhale, and it might become more internal movement, less external movement. Quieter, softer, easier. The belly is a really good gauge that we can check in with to notice how we are responding to stimuli both inside the body but also in our lives. When there is stress, when there is negative affect, the belly hardens, it constricts, breath becomes shallow and more in the chest. So if we can start to pay more attention to the belly and consciously softening it, consciously releasing tension and effort in the breath, we can start to regulate our responses to stress and to pain, stimulus inside or outside. So we'll take another minute to really soften the belly, soften the effort of the breathing as it flows and expands in contraction. Maybe just 10% softer, 10% less effort. So now that you may have a bit of a softer belly, I'm going to ask you to move your awareness to the point of pain in the body that you want to work with today. So maybe you have multiple locations that had strong sensations when we did the scan, but just choose one today to work with. And bring your awareness back to that place. Start to let that area kind of float in your awareness. And notice what arises the moment that you bring your attention toward the pain. Notice if your belly immediately hardened again. Notice what emotions might arise or attitudes, thoughts. When you move your attention toward this pain area, you might experience fear or frustration, maybe distrust, maybe anger, maybe grief. Just notice what arises when you pay attention to this pain. Just let it be there for a moment. Just let it be whatever is there, whatever that reaction is, that emotional response, whatever those thoughts might be. Just notice them, let them be there, but meet them with loving kindness. Meet them with acceptance. Okay, so this is what happens when I focus on this pain. Meet this reaction with compassion, maybe even forgiveness. Whatever arises, meet it with mercy. Be merciful with those feelings. Be merciful with those aversions, those desperate feelings. Have mercy on you. And let those thoughts or those feelings, those reactions to the pain, start to let those feelings dissolve into the softness of this mercy. It's totally understandable why this reaction might be there. Dissolve that into your own compassionate meeting. So now we're going to try to reapproach this pain from a place of mercy, not fear, not refusal, not judgment in any way, mercy. So as you move your attention back to this area of pain, I'm going to ask you to now breathe to it. Breathe that merciful breath. You can imagine that the breath as it comes in is like a white light or a white mist being focused directly to that place, again, to help it to soften. Just to hold it in loving kindness, loving awareness. Just let it float there in your awareness as you breathe to it. Now that we've tended to this reactive mind, this judging mind, now that that's a little bit more quiet, we can really get curious about this pain. So as you're breathing to it, really open up curiosity. Breathe into curiosity. You just really want to listen to it, really want to learn from it, really want to understand it better. Not from a place of hyper analyzing or grasping, but from a compassionate and merciful curiosity and care. So I'm going to invite you to ask this pain some questions. The first one is there anything that you want me to know about my body? Don't be tempted by the rational or analytical mind. Try to soften those kinds of immediate thoughts and just listen deeper. Is there anything you want me to know about my body? Maybe how I'm using it. Are you trying to protect my body in some way? Just listen. And maybe you get some information, maybe you don't. That's okay. No need to grasp. Just sitting with curiosity and softness. You could ask the pain, is there anything you want me to know about my thoughts? Is there a belief or an attitude stored here? Are you trying to protect my feelings in some way? You can ask this pain, is there anything you want me to know about my life, my relationships? Are you trying to avoid or limit something? Are you trying to protect me in some way in my life? Again, just breathing into curiosity, especially if the analyzing mind has started to grasp after answers. Just breathe into that spacious and expansive, curious, and just hold these questions toward this pain. Is there anything that you want me to know about my body, my mind, my life? Are you trying to protect me? How? From what? No matter what you learn, or even if nothing comes up for you today, just be merciful with yourself. Be merciful with the pain. Acknowledge that the pain, for however it might be trying to protect you, is ultimately trying to help in some way. Just acknowledge it. And let it know that it doesn't have to do that in this moment. It doesn't have to do that. It doesn't have to protect you in this moment from that thing, known or unknown to you. Because in this moment, you are safe. In this moment, it's safe to let go. It's safe to soften. It's safe. In this moment, you are at rest. You're at rest right now. It's okay to let go. It's okay to release, to soften. It's okay. Right now, you're not doing anything. You're at rest right now. Come back to that soft belly breathing. Let it all dissolve into softness right now. So this completes our exercise. So please take a deeper, fuller breath and start to gently maybe stretch and move a little bit. Bring your awareness back to the room. And as you're coming back, also just notice again that area of pain. And for a third time, a final time today, rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. So as you're coming back, this is an opportunity to maybe do some journaling, to maybe sit with those questions about what this pain might be trying to protect me from in my life, or what it's trying to tell me at the level of body, at the level of thought and emotion, at the level of relationship and just life activity. And just maybe sit with those questions, maybe journal about those questions. But the more that time that we can spend in this field of pure potential, this curious open space. That's where possibilities exist. That's where science is telling us real transformation is coming from, that we're able to reorganize these neural networks, which I'll give you Dan Siegel's little hand model of the brain. So this is your brain this way. This is all the cognitive information. And this is like your frontal lobe, your right and left cerebral cortex. And then we have the amygdala, which is the emotional processing center, which is the midbrain. And then we have the brain stem, which is the oldest part of the brain. And again, all of this, everything is happening. This whole neural network of experience is happening when pain is awake in our awareness. When we move to a space of curiosity, we are bypassing that neural network and we are opening up the possibility of change and transformation. So we want to stay curious. We want to stay compassionate. We want to be merciful. We want to tone that nervous system with soft belly breathing. And we just want to keep practicing because, again, science says that it takes a few months of doing this before we can see change. So I hope that you will return to this practice. I hope that this information was valuable. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I really, really hope that this serves you well.